Wow, today is 24th of November. As mentioned in my previous video that the Prime Minister, the Home Office Secretary and the other MPs, they are going to have a meeting to look at the statistics of people coming to the UK to see what they are going to do about it. So guys, in today's video, I have got the latest updates by the Prime Minister and the Home Secretary and other MPs. I'm going to be sharing with you in this video, so do watch this video right to the end. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Fajira. If you're joining me for the very first time, I create content on how you can migrate to the UK just with visa sponsorship in the UK, live in the UK immigration updates, like anything you can think about the UK. So if you're someone who is interested in such content, do click on the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, so each time I upload a new video, you're going to be the very first person to see that video. So guys, let's quickly dive right into today's video. Meeting was held today, and this latest update was uploaded November 24th, 2022, 4 p.m. But it's not a very good news for those that want to migrate to the UK. So I'm just going to read just word to word exactly what was published 4 p.m. 24th of November. So just as you can see, I'm going to also leave a copy and also the statistics on the screen so you can see what the UK is really looking at and what they are talking about. Net migration at record levels as 1.1 million arrive in Britain. Rishi Sunak mourns ban on visa for those taking low quality courses. If you watched my previous video, I talked about if you're planning to come to the UK to study, you should look at courses that are in demand. And from what the latest update says, that Rishi Sunak mourns ban on visas for those taking low quality courses. That was just like exactly what I mentioned in my previous video. Rishi Sunak is considering a crackdown on foreign students after net migration soared to a record high of 500,000 this year. So that means 500,000 people have migrated to the UK this year. Foreign students could be barred from studying low quality degrees and restricted from bringing their family with them under plans being considered to reduce overall migration, Downing Street said. So not only the Home Office Secretary now, a lot of MPs are backing her up right now. So it's not only her, also now Rishi Sunak is actually considering what Braverman has been pushing since she became the Home Secretary. Prime Minister's spokesman said the government would consider all options to reduce numbers after figures published by the Office for National Statistics showed total immigration reached an estimate 1.1 million in the year to June. So you can imagine how many people have migrated just within 12 months to the UK. An estimated 560,000 people immigrated, leaving net migration at a record 504,000 in the past 12 months. That is more than double the 239,000 net migration recorded in the previous 12 months and higher than the pre-Brexit record of 336,000 in March 2015. The figures reply further pressure on Rishi Sunak and Suella Braverman, the Home Secretary, to introduce fresh measures following the Prime Minister's pledge to cut overall immigration, a key Conservative Party manifesto commitment at the last election. The estimate published by the ONS are significantly higher than the 224,000 that the Office for Budget Responsibility predicted for next year as part of last week's autumn statement. It projected that net migration would fall to 205,000 by the year 2026. The ONS said the record was driven by a set of unique factors, such as the two visa schemes for Ukraine fleeing the war with Russia, the post-pandemic resumption of international travel, and Britain's transition to a new points-based immigration system post-Brexit. I'm just going to skip some of the ones that I know will not really interest you and is not really what you're looking at for. So I'll skip them, so in case you see on the screen that I'm not reading everything, just know that it's not everything that is really for you. So I'm just going to go to the number of foreign students granted visas to the UK has risen to a record high of 476,000 in the 12 months to September, according to separate Home Office figures published today, which is 24th of November. This is 76% higher than the last pre-pandemic year of 2019. Remember that there was a time, I think in my set few years ago, between 2011 to about 2019 or 2019, they stopped the post-study work visa. I think they started again in, I think, September 2019 or thereabout. So I think that as well has had a great impact on the number of people coming to the UK to study and not going back, which is further increasing the net migration statistics, as you can see on the screen. Downing Street insisted that Sunak still wanted to bring overall immigration levels down and blamed unprecedented and unique circumstances for the record high. Okay, the Prime Minister is fully committed to bring overall numbers down. So that's what they are on now. Before, it was just like Soela, which is the Home Secretary, and a few people with her. But from what the statistics is showing now, I think lots of people now are supporting her to see how they can cut down the number of people coming to the UK. The Prime Minister is fully committed to bring overall numbers down. The spokesman said there are some unprecedented and unique circumstances which are having a significant impact on the statistics, which is true. Like I said, the Ukrainian war, the Afghanistan, and so on. So the Prime Minister has said he wants net migration to reduce. He has not put a specific time frame on that. So there is no specific time frame, but like, you know how the UK operates. You could just wake up in the morning, just as I woke up to this afternoon. We could just wake up one morning and we will hear that has been put. But this is just to prepare your mind that anything can happen. So if you're still planning to come to the UK, if you're making plans, honestly, I will advise that you put in more effort into your plans right now, because from the statistics, even if I was a Prime Minister or I'm the Home Secretary, from what the way the statistics looks, I would definitely see how I can put a cap on the number of people migrating to the UK. I'll leave it on the screen for you to see how many people have come to the UK, how many people have left the UK, how many people are still in the UK. That is really, really high. So if you're planning to come to the UK for studies, we don't know about job yet, but especially for studies, this is when to start making your plans, because like I said in my previous video, they could wake up one day and say, oh, you can only come with one child or two children, which is not what we want. The Prime Minister has said he wants net migration to reduce. He has not put a specific time frame on that. Like I earlier mentioned, Indians have for the first time overtaken Chinese as the biggest nationality of foreign students. There was also a large increase in Nigerian students. So my Nigerian people, if they are going to put a cap on the number of people coming to study in the UK or work in the UK or any way they want to do it, it will definitely affect Indians, and it will also affect Nigerians. People arriving on study visas accounted for the largest proportion of long-term immigration of non-EU nationals at 277,000 people, or 39% of the total, up from 143,000 in the previous 12 months. This may reflect built-up demand from international students who want to travel to the UK but studied remotely in the early stages of the pandemic. Remember that during the pandemic, a lot of international students wanted to come to the UK to study, but due to the pandemic, they were studying from their various countries, and some of them were actually in the UK. There was a scheme, I think I filmed a video on that a few months ago about those that studied remotely to be able to apply for the post-study work visa, because originally they were supposed to be in the UK to study, but due to the pandemic, they studied overseas. So they gave them time frame to apply for the post-study work visa. The increase might also be influenced by the new graduate visa route, where students can apply to work in the UK for up to 3 years after completing their studies. The ONS said post-study work visa ended in my set, so I didn't have it, but they brought it back, and I think that would have further increased the number of people that are currently in the UK that have not left the UK. In the same period, Britain granted 190 visas to Ukrainian refugees fleeing the war with Russia. So these are things that have further impacted the number of people in the UK. In addition to work visas, these factors have all contributed towards total migration rising to an estimated 1.1 million in the year to June 2022. 435,000 increase in total migration was driven by arrivals of non-EU nationals, which rose from 379,000 to 704,000 in the year ending June 2022. Net migration from non-EU nationals hit a record of 504,000, more than double that record in the previous 12 months, when the figures was about 250,000. So if you're planning to come to the UK to study and you have more than 2, 3, 4 children, guys, this is when to start applying for schools. Like I said, we don't know the number of dependents that they may say come with. I think I spoke to my cousin that wanted to go to America for masters recently. I think there's a particular area she was supposed to go, and I think she was told that she can only come with 2 children and the other 2 will be in Nigeria. So the question is, how will she leave her 2 children back in Nigeria, take 2 with her to America? I can't remember the particular states she mentioned to me in America. So why am I mentioning this? If they can do it in other countries, and that means the UK is closer to it, I think they may come to a time that they will say, if you're coming for masters, you can only come with 2 children and your wife. It may get to that time, I'm not sure yet, but I think it will definitely get there, because in the UK you are encouraged not to have so many children. Maximum 2 is a good number. They will even tell you that 2 is a good number. Some places when I go, how many kids have you? If I say I got 3, they're like, oh, how do you manage? And I know that they were like, oh, 2 is a good number, but they wouldn't want to tell me. So, but what I'm trying to say is that if you're planning to come to the UK, this is the best time to start making arrangements, because if some countries or some states in America can be able to do that, then that means the UK is closer to doing it. So you wouldn't want to come to study in the UK and you're coming with just 2 children, or you wouldn't want to come to study and they tell you that don't come with any of your child. Now, with undergraduate in the UK, you're not allowed to come with dependents. With top up in the UK, you're not allowed to come with dependents. So the only people that are allowed to come with their dependents are those who are studying for masters and also PhD. In my opinion, I think those coming to study at master's level may be asked to come with maybe 2 children or maybe 1. I don't know, but I don't think it's going to work for us, especially we that usually have more than 2 children, you know. Then if you're coming for PhD, you can come with as many as you want, or as all your children. If you have 5, you can come with them. That's because a lot of people are not studying for PhD. So if you already have a master's and you're in Nigeria, you're in India, you're in any part of the world, and you're planning to study in the UK, I would say instead of you doing a second master, start writing your proposal to enable you come for PhD, so that whatever the law is, it will not really affect you, because we don't really have a lot of PhD students in the UK. We have, but not as much as masters. Anyway, you go masters, but with PhD, it's not as much as masters. So if you already have your masters, instead of coming to do a second masters in the UK, start looking at PhD, so that whatever the changes are, you will not be affected in any way. The number of non-EU nationals arriving for work reasons in the 12 months to June is estimated at 150,000, up year on year from 92,000. Neither Rishi Sunak nor Keir Starmer plans to make significant cuts to immigration because of the social and economical benefit it brings to Britain. So like I said, some people are still against it, but at the same time, we've got more people now on the side of the Home Secretary and also Rishi Sunak. After seeing the statistics, they're like, they have to cut down the number of people coming to the UK. Political leaders should now be setting out a vision for how we make this work well for all of us in the UK, focusing on integration, citizenship, and training up the UK workforce to fill skills gap. So this is what a proposal that I saw this in the previous article a few days ago, that they are looking at, instead of bringing people from overseas to do the jobs that they've got here, is to encourage citizens here to be trained on how to do those jobs so that they can fill in those gaps. So that's one of the things they are looking at for. This is not only going to affect students, it's also going to affect some jobs as well. So with this record, I think 35,000 people actually came to the UK by boat, which is why the UK is thinking of how they can close their borders to people that are migrating by boats. A lot of people are seeking asylum. They don't even have a home right now to stay. I think last time most of them slept on the streets. and that is another topic on its own. So if you're looking at coming to the UK, as earlier mentioned, with all of these changes, I strongly believe that in the next few weeks, in the next few days, in the next few months, we don't know where, they are going to put a cap to say, come with this number of dependents. Not like come to the UK to do some certain courses that they were applying, which I know they've been working on that before now. So if you're looking at coming to the UK, guys, this is the best time to start, and start looking at those courses that will keep you back in the UK, not courses that you just want to do because you want to migrate, because they're going to look at that as well. Just as they are going as far as investigating carers to find out if they are actually carers from their countries before they got a job in the UK. So let's go to the analysis. In the analysis, it says all immigration forecasts suggested that numbers would fall after EU free movement rules ended in 2020. So, but today's statistics shows the direct opposite, with net migration reaching a new high of 504,000 this year, which is 170,000 more than the previous record set in 2015, a year before the Brexit vote. The numbers were driven exclusively by immigration from outside of the EU, with net migration from the bloc actually falling to negative figures as 51,000 more left the UK than arrived. The figures were inflated by those fleeing Ukraine and Hong Kong, which made up most of the 185,000 non-EU migrants who did not come to work or study. However, even after those are taken out of the equation, net migration would still have been more than 300,000, close to the pre-Brexit record of 336,000 set in March 2015. The numbers are also a long way from Suella Braverman's ambition to return net migration to tens of thousands. So that's one of our agenda. She wants to see, instead of these hundreds of thousands, she wants to return it to tens of thousands, what it used to be before. So a goal she pronounced at the Conservative Party conference last month, and which dropped her in a hot water as it contradicts government policy not to set targets on immigration. But where it is right now, I'm very sure that they are going to look at all of this. However, today's figures are likely to embolden her in the mission to reduce student immigration. She says she wants to substantially reduce the number of international students coming here, and in particular their relatives, with Nigerians and Indian students bringing a large number of dependents with them. So we've been on this now, I think it's almost 2 months now we've been on this issue, and from the statistics, like I said, they are definitely going to do something about it. So just start getting ready now, start preparing yourself to move with your family. The figures, which cover the period from June 2021 to June 2022, reflect a huge rebound in the international student numbers following the COVID-19 pandemic. A record of 476,000 foreign students came to the UK in the 12 months period, a 76% increase compared with the last pre-pandemic. The biggest factors in the increase in work visas was the health and social care sector, with a combination of higher demand for labor due to COVID, but also the need to meet the government's target of recruiting 50,000 extra nurses. In as much as they are thinking about cutting down the number of people coming to the UK, they are also still looking at recruiting up to 50,000 extra nurses to come to the UK. Training domestic workforce takes time, so much of this target has been driven by recruiting from readily available nurses from overseas. There is not yet enough specific data available on this route, but it is likely to have contributed significantly. The surge in students is also unlikely to be sustained at current levels because of the reasons set out above, and the vast majority of foreign students eventually leave the country. A small proportion may extend their stay through the graduate route, and about 60,000 took advantage of the visa in the last 12 months, that's to September this year. This is what it is. So if you're really looking at moving to the UK, like I earlier mentioned, this is the best time for you to start preparing. This is not a very good news from what I've read, because the UK government is definitely going to do something about it, and we don't know when. There's no time frame from what the article said. So just start getting ready now, start applying for schools. And as earlier mentioned, if you already have a master's, instead of you applying to come for another master's, start looking out for schools where you can do your PhD, start writing your proposal, because with PhD, I don't think they are going to put so much restriction because they don't have a lot of PhD students in the UK. They are, but not as compared to master's students. And for the new growth visa, yes, that's a visa to bring in more people to work. They haven't really said anything about it. There has not been any eligibility criteria. I will look out for that. Once there is a eligibility criteria, everything you need to know about it, I'll definitely come and share with you. But this is what it is. So I just needed to like share with you, as I promised in my previous video, that once they have that meeting today, 24th November, I will come back and share with you, which is what I've done. Not a very good news for most people looking at coming as a student for 2023, because we don't know what's going to happen in September 2023. From what it is, if this is being implemented by April, if you're coming in September and they have said you can't come with more than 2 children, or you can't come with any of your dependents or relative, then that means you may not really be happy with that. So try as much as you can. Some schools are still open for January. Look out for those schools and start applying as soon as possible so you don't get affected. So guys, we've actually come to the end of this video, and hope you find it helpful. And if you do and you're yet to subscribe to join our family on this channel, I always share jobs with visa sponsorship, and I give you daily updates on UK immigration. If you're someone who loves such content, do join us and on your notification bell, so each time I upload, you'll be the first to see my video. So until I see you in my next video, guys, do take care and have a lovely day. Bye bye for now.